one of the things that's key to our success has been the development of people and processes that really work. And it's all about the 4 steps in successful digital marketing: strategy, strategic communications, inbound marketing, and ROI and conversions.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. Today is one of those unique ones where we're talking to a founder who has created his business over 20 years ago and is still rocking the same game, but doing it better. Tom, will you please tell us who you are and what do you do?
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here, Todd. I am Thomas Young, or Tom Young. I'm the CEO and founder of Intuitive Websites. We are a digital marketing agency based in Denver, Colorado. We have 22 employees and growing. And yes, the agency was started in 2004, although I went out on my own in the late 90s and been doing marketing work since then.
Talk to us about the issues you're facing and have faced and overcome. Is there something that sticks out in your head as you think back about your growth journey? And was there a point where you felt like maybe I'll give up, maybe this is just a waste of my time, or I really got screwed on that deal? What's happened in your journey that's giving you reason to doubt?
Well, it's a great question. And anyone who's been a consultant knows this journey, because at some point a consultant has to make that decision. Do I build a team or do I keep it solo? I made the decision to build a team. And then I made a lot of mistakes over many years. The biggest mistake I made was hiring my friends, which is something that you can laugh about now, but at the time it seemed like a great idea.
Oh boy.
Don't hire your friends.
Yeah.
And then the second part of this is you have to understand yourself, right? So as you form a business, there's a big question to ask, and this is based on the fundamentals of EOS or traction. We're a traction-based company.
Sure.
And that question is this:
awesome.
Are you a visionary or an integrator? Are you a visionary or integrator? Which way do you lean? You might do both. Which way do you lean? If you're a visionary, you like to create, you like to sell, you like to write, you like to see the future. If you're an integrator, you like to build and construct, pull things together, make operations work, measure success, hold people accountable. You've got to have both those personalities to run a business. And if you look under the covers of any successful company, there is always those two, the visionary and the integrator. Sure. And I found out I was a visionary. And at times I thought I was an integrator, and I was a really bad integrator. So
it's all right. At least you recognize it now.
I recognize it now. I found an integrator, right? And I partnered with her, and she became the COO of the business. And so now we run the company together. So you have the visionary founder who does what I do, and then someone who holds everyone accountable and brings things together. And we're big fans of EOS. So
that's a great framework.
You know EOS? Yeah, the traction books are fantastic.
Oh yeah. No, I feel like I'm talking to like someone in the mirror, because your whole foundation are the same foundations I built my agency on, which was not necessarily EOS. I'm very familiar with EOS, but I have my own iteration of EOS and the Donald Miller Business Made Simple frameworks. Those two things are what every business needs to be taught.
Oh yeah,
like really.
Running a business is not an intuitive process, right? Running a business is a structured set of rules and guidelines that we need to follow. And like I said, it starts with understanding who you are as a business leader, and then building the right team around you. Another challenge that, as we grow we're starting to reach 25 employees this year. As we start to grow to that level, what we're looking at constantly is, do we hire before we grow, or do we wait and grow and then hire? So when I first started getting employees, I would get employees when we got the client. Get the client, get the employee. Get the client, get the employee.
Right.
There's a lot of problems with that because
there is, but it's also more comfortable.
It feels comfortable, but you're constantly bringing employees in to meet your new employee. You're bringing clients in to meet your new employee, right? So what you want to do is have a seasoned team ready to go with a great process. So every new client experience is fantastic. So now what we're doing is we're investing in people ahead of the curve. So we're looking at our budget constantly. We're realizing time for another account manager. They're going to start off with only 1 or 2 clients, but let's get that person up on board and ready. And that's been that constant challenge. I call it the catch-22 of what comes first, the team member or the client.
Chicken or the egg. Right. Tell us about your journey, because 22 years in business, or whatever it's been. in business, that is a long time to be driving the same car. Clearly, the car has taken change and has evolved over time. Tell us what some highlights of your growth journey.
Oh, yeah, great question. So I started in sales and in sales management, and I earned a few bonuses being pretty successful doing that and realized I should look at going out on my own. So then I started a sales consultant business, and I wrote a book called
Awesome.
Intuitive Selling. It's still out there. In fact, my website's still out
Awesome.
there. Intuitive Selling is the book. Salestrainingplus.com is the website. So they're still out
Cool.
there. And at about the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, I realized people really need to help with websites strategically and with website content. And
Yeah.
I had already
Yeah.
done that for my business, my sales training business, and was
Yeah.
viable. And I had this idea that, maybe websites should be about content. And in the 2000s, that was a really novel idea because people thought
Totally.
content should be in books and magazines, and websites were about
Right.
promotions, right? About creating stuff.
Bragging about
Yeah, and
yourself.
the novelty of the technology. And even e-commerce,
Right.
the early e-commerce was the novelty of the technology. And so I said, no, no,
Totally.
no, websites should be about content and thought leadership. And I'm still doing that today. And now with the AI
Right.
tools we have, they're creating a game changer for that because now people
Right.
can get their thought leadership clearly communicated super quickly and effectively with the support of AI. And
Love
so
it.
that was at the core of what has kept us successful. We also had a tenet at the company that our clients should be able to edit their own websites. And if you remember in
Yeah.
the early 2000s, that was a big issue. And
That was a
and
big issue.
so we used to work in Joomla. We used to work in Microsoft CMSs. And when
I
WordPress,
kind of forgot about Joomla.
yeah, Joomla was fantastic in the day. But when WordPress came along, we said, hey,
Totally.
here's a platform that people can edit,
Yeah.
can modify, can keep updated. And that's what we want to
Plug
work in. So
in.
we work in WordPress websites and create those. And then became HubSpot
Love it.
partners because we saw how important marketing automation was.
You know, talk briefly about that because I think that goes overlooked so much of the time. I think a lot of founders feel like their website should be doing, they know it should be doing something,
Yeah.
but they don't really have it effectively generating leads for them. How has your HubSpot integration and that relationship really helped your clients grow their lead processing?
Well, so over the last few years, there's been some big marketing things that have happened, big marketing revolutions.
Right.
I talked about AI already. The one that happened a few
Right.
years ago was marketing automation, and HubSpot's a
Sure.
leader in that. And what marketing automation is the idea that you can follow people on the internet and interact with them through emails and so forth based on what they do. So you're meeting them where they
Right.
are in the sales funnel. And HubSpot's really mastered that. Now you need an email address to do that. So they need to subscribe to your newsletter or get your ebook or attend
Right.
your webinar or your podcast. But once you have their email address, then you can market to them. That's huge.
Right.
HubSpot is great because it takes that anonymous website researcher who is in your sales
Yep.
funnel. It allows us to
Yep.
identify them and move them toward a close, toward a closed sales. Most companies are not doing this, don't know how to do it, and are
Agreed.
missing a huge opportunity. Now,
Agreed.
before we can get that email address and start nurturing them in tools like HubSpot, we have to have great landing pages and website content that converts. And we're big
Yeah.
fans of a product called StoryBrand, and it's also a
I am
methodology.
too.
Yeah, Donald Miller.
Bless Donald
Yeah,
Miller.
he's
What a great guy.
fantastic. And so our content writers have been through Donald Miller's training. I teach
Yeah.
Vistage CEOs how to use these concepts. But at the heart of story
Love
brand
it.
is that your customer is the hero and we are the guides. And we have to guide them
Right.
because we have a process and we understand who their villains are. They're the hero, they have villains. We
Right.
understand who their
Right.
villains are and what they're looking to accomplish. And so we meet them where they are with key benefits. And over the years,
Love
we've
it.
been able to develop web pages that follow this format that can drive
Yep.
conversion rates of 2 to 5%. So once you
Agreed.
get conversion rates of 2 to 5% on web pages, you can now create significant sales funnels. Because imagine for every 100 visitors on a web page, 5 of them are going to reach out and drop into your sales
Totally.
funnel. And websites can have 1,000 visitors a day on a web page, right? So it's a numbers game. And that's what CEOs have to recognize. That's step 4 of our 4-step process,
Yep.
the ROI conversion part. And these are all
Right.
critical things that really work well.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Fantastic. I can tell already. There's a reason I like you. This is a story brand agency that implements their own processes and making sure that you're hitting the steps you need to monetize your website. There's no point in building this fancy website if you don't expect it to convert people that come there to do something with
It's
you,
so true.
anything with you.
It is so true. Yes.
Awesome. 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 I love it. So as you've grown and as you've stayed in business for this long, I can see why you have, because you're very passionate about your ability to address these common issues that your clients are facing.
Sure.
Just a few seconds to let you know about a project that we've been putting together for the last several months, and we're finally launching it, called the Captain's Council. You see, as a CEO or operator of a business, it can feel like you get stuck in your own head a lot of the time. You get challenges that you don't know how to resolve. You get people causing problems in your leadership team that you don't know how to resolve. And it's so hard to overcome those things by yourself. You don't have to anymore. Join the Captain's Council. Captain's Council is a group of other CEOs and operators and owners of businesses where we come together once a month for several hours to discuss the biggest challenges you're facing. You express to the council of 8 to 10 people about what's going on. Where do you feel stuck? And these other people are in the same boat as you. They're running and operating their own businesses. They're your peers. They help you kind of dissect what's happening and help you see things that you may not have seen all by yourself. If you don't have a good, strong network of people around you, come join the Captain's Council. This is going to be something that will change the way you run your business and open your eyes to opportunities that you have never seen without the help of your peer group. Come check it out, captainscouncil.com. So that is pretty much the birth of internet marketing, for those that don't realize that. Tom and I have known business pre-internet and post-internet. So Tom, tell us who you like to serve. Like, what is it? Is there something you do uniquely different with your web dev that other people aren't doing?
We do. There are several things we do. And actually, there's a really exciting new development that's happening right now, and that's the use of AI in marketing. And we're watching
Of
that very
course.
closely. It's a revolution that's happening this year.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we worked for years to perfect what we do at the agency. So we're still successful and still in business and still growing and thriving. And there's several things we've done, but one of the things that's key to our success has been the development of people and processes that really work. And I want to start with the processes first.
Love it.
So I
Love it.
developed this 4-step process for marketing. I wrote a book on it. It's called Winning the Website War. And it's all about the 4 steps in successful digital marketing: strategy, strategic communications, inbound marketing, and ROI and conversions. Those are the 4 steps. And they're distinct from one another, and
Right.
they're absolutely critical. And they're a critical part of your digital marketing plan.
Right.
Many companies skip a step, take a step for granted, don't get a step right, spend money on a step before they're ready, don't have a clear strategy, and so forth and so on. And so my goal has been to train people on these 4 steps and get those steps right. We've also yeah,
Amen to all that. That's
and we've
awesome.
also found a way to marry and merge those 4 steps with a process for website development and digital marketing that gets results. And that process is called growth-driven design. It's a process developed by HubSpot. We're a HubSpot agency and partner. And growth-driven design is all
Cool.
about taking agile framework principles and applying them to digital marketing,
Yeah.
which is the concept that you work in sprints, that you get done what you
Right.
can get done with the budget that are the highest priorities, and you look for incremental
Right.
improvements in your website. You go live when it's ready, and you use incremental improvements to drive growth. And what a lot of companies get caught up in is that we have to have the perfect website before it goes live. That's not how it works.
Yep.
You have to have a better
Right.
website every week and every day. And now it's
Agreed.
more than just
Agreed.
websites, it's digital marketing in general, social media, email, everything. So that's what's brought it together. That's on the process side. And then we've worked really hard to build a culture of people that really work
Yeah.
together. In fact, we this year we introduced a document called the IW Way, the Intuitive Websites Way, which are the principles of our business, what we do, how we deal with clients, how we interact with clients that are more challenging, how we're proactive with clients
Love
that
it.
are less challenging, and how so we do all
Love it.
these things. This is the IW Way, and we use that to build a culture, and that's really driven our success. And it's something that we have to work on every single day.
And I imagine somewhere in there you've got some values that are embedded in that IWA. I mean, tell us about how you've, most businesses in the late 90s, early 2000s, that wasn't really a thing we talked about a whole lot, was what are the core values of your business? What are they, and how do you incorporate those in, and how has it changed the way you've been able to align
Well,
your
the core
teams?
values are around service and how we are a
Love it.
service-based company. And so we are a service to
Love it.
folks, and around the idea that we are here to educate the world about digital marketing. So we lead first with, we want to be a guide and mentor for you. We want to train you and educate you. And then
Right.
we are here to provide service where you need it. So we fill in those gaps and get things done.
Right.
And then those two processes that I just mentioned, the four-step process for digital marketing and growth-driven design,
Right.
those come together then to execute on that promise. And then, it's so
Right.
important for us as we build the culture that we hire people that fit in that. So it's so, for example,
Right.
In our world, in this agency world, it's very easy to get to where it's you against the client, right? It's agency versus
for
client.
sure. Yeah.
We can't do that. It's agency and client in a partnership. And one of the things we like to say is that we fill in gaps. And in today's world, people have to have great digital marketing. So most companies, especially at that 5 to 10 million range, they start to hire marketing folks on their team, but they can't do everything. For example, launching HubSpot,
Nope.
dealing with plugins in
Right.
WordPress, dealing now with the AI chat tools and how you drive content with AI.
Right.
You can't have someone that does all that, right? SEO, Google Ads, all these things.
No.
So we come in and fill in the gaps on the team and then work on monthly retainers that are less than you would ever spend to build a team. So if you're paying us a monthly retainer of 5 to 10,000 a month, you're getting access to 22 people that fill in all these gaps, and you can't even hire a marketing coordinator now at 4 or 5,000 a month, right? That's probably the starting point. And so that's kind of our key competitive advantage in what we offer folks. Yeah.
I love it. I love your model. I will say to all those listening, truly, if you don't have a marketing specialist working with you that actually has systems and processes and can provide the people to fill in the blanks, you really aren't marketing effectively. And what ends up happening is you start to lose focus on what really matters and what metrics you should be watching. And there's so much to know about driving leads from your site into client transactions that you can't hire one or two people to cover that. It is something that even if you, the founder, know about it, you can't do it all your own. So Tom, I appreciate what you're doing.
We tell clients to start with a marketing coordinator position. So I've been a Vistage speaker for over 20 years. Vistage is a CEO roundtable organization, and there's thousands and thousands of members. And I speak to these groups, and they ask me the question, where do I get started? I feel overwhelmed. And I say, start with the coordinator position, hire an agency, and then as you grow, you can start to add positions. You can add a marketing director, I already have one, and you can start to add content folks and so forth. Many companies today have strong sales and or rainmaker operations. Obviously, you don't get to 5 or 10 millions without that, but they start to struggle scaling their digital marketing. And so I always recommend start with that digital marketing coordinator position.
I love it. And what do you define that role as? What do they actually do? What is
that role? It's a great question. So number one, they hold the team accountable and they execute on what we call a sprint or the quarterly plan that has to happen. They would help be the go-between between the agency's project manager and account manager and the client. So it's very common.
That's a great role.
The digital agencies this happens all the time. The CEO hires the agency, does not have time to interact with them. So the coordinator has to be the go-between 100%. To get things done and make things happen. Some coordinators start to learn a bit about social media and they can do some posting. They might even learn content and can write a post or two. But for the most part, they're the go-between between the agency and the deliverables.
Love it.
Yeah.
Fascinating conversation. I love what you're doing. I love how you're positioned, and I love how you are so able to clearly define what you do, how you help people, and where you feel like you already know where they're going to have the problems, but you can help them see those problems and solve them. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now that we know about your business, what do you suggest? I mean, as you've gone through this now several times, how do you coach a new client in your Vistage teams as you meet with other founders? What are you telling people to do?
As far as when they become a client, when they sign up.
No, in terms of that hiring problem, you know, that do I have my seasoned team in the wings waiting for the clients, or do you get the clients and then bring in the team?
Well, so what we're doing here at Intuitive Websites, and we can speak for ourselves here, is that we trust our instincts on what we know has worked in the past. So we've been growing at about a rate of about 20% a year. And so even though month to month that cycle can change, and we could even lose money in a month.
Yeah.
But even though that cycle changes, we trust our instincts and realize that trend will probably continue. Then we also look for what we call hitting the bubble or hitting the ceiling. What is happening that's going to cause us to stop from reaching that next level? And we've identified things like more advanced account management resources, higher level consulting at the agency. Things like that are going to help us so as we approach 3 to 5 million in revenues, those things will go away and we can bust through that bubble.
Very cool stuff. Honestly, for those listening, you have got to be listening to this conversation. Tom really does know what he's talking about. These frameworks that he's talking so casually about and so comfortably about are what you need to be thinking about. You have to have an operating system. You have to have a way that you function within your company so that it's not all dependent on you, the founder, or the operator of the business. It has to be a framework. There has to be responsibilities. There has to be an organization for you to grow and scale. And additionally, if your marketing is not generating leads and you're not capturing those leads, you've got to talk to someone like Tom. There are so many people who know how to do this, but if you're not doing it the way Tom's describing, get a hold of him. His contact info is below, and learn what you need to know in order to build and grow your business the right way. I love this, Tom.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's great. What am I forgetting? What other things do you feel like are essential in people's growth and scaling journey? What should they be thinking about next?
Well, gosh, we've covered a lot of stuff here. I think the idea that what you just said, the idea that give up the ego and follow things that work, right? So a lot of people come into business and think, I know what I'm doing. I've got the intellect. I can just do this and make it happen.
Totally.
It's better to go to something that's tried and true and trust it. One of the things that EOS does is they have the L10 meeting process. I can't tell you what a game changer that was at our company. Just to have structured meetings that followed a process that got results was huge. And most people will tell you they hate meetings. The meetings were not productive. When we started doing the L10 structure from EOS, our team, they just love the meetings now, and they rank the meetings and so forth. So that was one big game changer for us.
Fantastic. Now, on a personal level, as a founder, as someone who is kind of the visionary of what you've built, you got to have someone in your wings, someone in your network who has been that inspiration for you. Is there someone you'd like to give a shout out to today that has been there to help you, inspire you to build what you've done?
There's a couple people I want to shout out. The first one is my coach, Orville Wilson, who's one of the authors and founders of the Guerrilla Marketing System. And I do a lot of speaking around the country, and I've written books, and I've got a new book in the works. And Orville's just been a great guide to get speaking done well and also to get these books in order. And then a shout out to the Vistage organization, which has been fantastic.
Love it.
My current chair, Don Myers, has been a great mentor and resource. And he says very powerful things in just a few amount of words. And one of the things he told me years ago was, you're not charging enough. And so if you can imagine,
that's a powerful thing to hear.
So you stop and go, okay, well, of course you're not charging, but it changed the way I looked at the business, because he said this. He basically said, do you realize you're charging the same rate that my plumber charges when he comes out to the house? And I said, do you, and I thought to myself, the reason I'm charging rates that were below market is because of my
Yeah.
commitment to service. I want service to come first. I want clients to be happy. Of course, we have to make a living.
But you can't provide the service without being able to afford to send people out there to service
That's
them.
right. And so I learned. And what was interesting is once we raised our prices and got them in alignment with the skills we were providing,
Right.
we doubled that year in revenue. Our revenue doubled.
Love
We went from about just under $1 million to over 2 million. And now we're
I
still
love
on
it.
that growth goal. And now we're looking, of course, to figure out, where do we find more clients that are good fits for us?
I love it.
So those are two great resources, Orville Wilson and then the Vistage organization and Don Myers.
I love it. I love it. Honestly, if you are a founder and you are trying to figure this all out on your own, if you don't have a coach or you don't have an organization, a peer network like a Vistage group, I'm telling you right now, you're shortchanging yourself. There is so much power in talking to other founders, and it can be something as casual as going to lunch every month with a few friends.
Yeah.
But so much better when there's a structure and there's questions and there's issues being resolved. If you can find your way into one of these organizations, I highly recommend it because you will see the power of it like Tom just described. So awesome. Thank you.
You bet. Yeah.
Hey, Tom, honestly, this interview has been fantastic. I thought it would be. It's met up to what I thought it would be. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences with our listeners. I'm assuming we can find you LinkedIn. Where do you hang out on social? Is there a place people can follow you? Get your books.
Absolutely. Well, the website's intuitivewebsites.com. That's the agency website.
Okay.
You can find me on LinkedIn under Thomas Young or search Amazon, Winning the Website War. My latest book is called Sales and Marketing Alignment, which I wrote with Carl Becker. You can find both those books on Amazon.
We'll stick the links below so everyone can go right over there and check them out. Fantastic interview, Tom. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to catching all of you on the next episode. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So what did you think of that conversation? I loved it. I loved it. There was very few things I did not like about it. Actually, there was nothing I didn't like about it. It was a great conversation. Systems, processes, tools, resources, all of that was described. And what a great business he's running. What an awesome foundation. You've got to use marketing specialists like him who do have systems and processes and the right tools to track your lead flow, to track your lead journeys. If they're not doing that for you now, you've got to find someone that can, because chances are you will never hire the right people to do this in-house. Outsourcing some of these responsibilities and hiring someone who can communicate to those agencies what you need to is a key role in what we're trying to help businesses do. Tom, thank you so much for all you do. And for all those listening, as I mentioned earlier, if you're liking the content, comment below what you liked about it. I want to bring you the best content we can possible that's going to add value to your growth journey in your business. So thanks for being here. Like, share, subscribe. Be part of our community. We want to engage with you and help you on your growth journey. If you've got an amazing growth story, tell us about it. We'd love to get you on the show, give you some exposure to our audience, and help you take those next steps to growing and scaling your business. We appreciate you being here, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast.